Hello, welcome to Revelator out of the Bike Mag Show, live show, video, podcast, radio show, whatever you want to call it, of course. So today's big hot topic is who the hell is this Andrew Tate? That seems to be in, all over the place on social media, on YouTube feeds and everything like that. So I'm going to dig into that later and how that relates to this channel and how that relates to a lot of other things that we're talking about. But I'm also going to be talking, this is a motorcycle channel, right? It's a Bike Mag Show. So I'm going to be talking about motorcycles that might be coming out to us next year, 2023, and some that are already on their way. So first of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about general news. So if I just add this here, a lot of the industry press right now, motorcycle news, Visor Down, and all over the world are talking about obviously new bikes for 2023, new stories. It's a little bit slim pickings right now, so I've been saying the last couple of live streams, because most of the manufacturers have released their wares, actually released all their models. Here we have a story by Motorcycle News, and this is covered by many others. Kimco, the Korean manufacturer, they've come out with this new three-wheeler. Lots of scooters, lots of low-powered scooters are being pushed right now. In fact, Honda have had a massive boost in the scooter sales in this last quarter. And you can only imagine a lot of this is down to global economy, people trying to save money or trying to find cheaper modes of transport, right? And that kind of makes sense. So Kimco are obviously doing that. Yamaha have done it, Suzuki have done it. So a lot of manufacturers, so the big main manufacturers, are trying to push the smaller vehicles as well. Also the electric variants as well. We saw Kawasaki come out with their electric variants of the European Motorcycle Show as well. But it's this mob here we've got to talk about. Okay, Honda. Honda are one of those manufacturers that obviously probably the biggest in the world in terms of overall unit sales or global unit sales. I know I said a while ago that Hero was, but most of their market is in India itself. And they also do mainly small displacement engines. So Honda have motorcycles right across the board, as we know, and obviously a big percentage of their income comes from small displacement CC motorcycles. However, just like the rest of the big Japanese four, they've been a bit slow to the market in bringing out their electric bikes or any electric bikes. And we're just starting to see that coming through with more and more bigger size scooters and also more plans for other motorcycles as well. So this is where I've always been saying, well, watch out Harley Davidson, or watch out Zero Motorcycles, or watch out all the other Energica, let's say, that have been taking the lead in electric motorcycles. You haven't had the really big players come into the market yet with cheap modes of transport that are electrically powered, you see. So other manufacturers do it, and let's not discount what's coming from China as well, and India, of course, they're bringing out some variants as well. But Honda, they've come out with this new, with this new. What's the word I'm looking for? Mobility scooter, I suppose it is here. I've taken this from quite a few of the press have featured this, but this is from Cycle World in the United States. It's the Honda EM1E, upcoming affordable scooter is destined for the Western markets. And these are all low-powered, low-kilowatt urban mobility. If I just quickly scroll down here, they've got this other kind of concept here, which has been floated around. Another electric urban bike. This is a self-balancing bike as well. So they're coming to the market now, and here's where I see Honda. Honda could not only have they seen a massive jump in their sales in this last quarter, but they could easily come out in 2023 with just a blow everybody out of the water completely, quite figuratively and literally, if you will, because they've got the might of the big player, but they've also got the network, the distribution, but they've also got the know-how. Now they're also one of the forerunners in having this conglomerate of the big Japanese four, but I think it's about another 20 odd manufacturers around the world who are going to be sharing technology in terms of the batteries that are going to be using for electric scooters and electric small motorcycles. They're going to be replaceable batteries. You just go to a battery bank, a little battery station, as it were, and you pay $10, $20, whatever it is, and you just swap out the batteries, and they go off and get charged, and you basically just put the new battery or fully charged battery in your bike. So that whilst they've been a bit slow coming to the market, they've also they're right on the knocking on the door, as it were, and bringing all this to market now. Not just Honda, but the other major manufacturers. So just be careful. Now, it could be said that they may just be focusing on the money earners here, and that would be the small scooter type things. I don't blame them. In all fairness, I actually don't blame them, because I think that, as I've said before, this is where the value is. Sub £5,000 dollar shekel. Two-wheeler electric, that's where it's at. Anything more than that, I think we don't really have the value right now. Okay, so that is Honda. Okay, so there's another story here, again from Cycle World, but it's also been picked up by a couple of other outlets as well. Piaggio, the Italian manufacturer, they're also coming out with this. Well, they're looking at, they've had a three-wheeler, which they've obviously had for many years and sold in vast numbers, but they're also looking at a four-wheeler as well, and they got a patent on it. And here's the basic design here. It's basically just a four-wheeled little scooter, really. I mean, I kind of think, well, at what point are we going from motorcycles to scooters to three-wheelers to cars? But there we go. I mean, that's another issue. Okay, so that's basically what's in the news. There is a little bit more. As I say, it's very slim pickings right now. We've got a gas. This come from Down. They've going to release an MC250F and MC450F factory motocross bikes as well. So we've got Horwin here. I've just brought out or bringing out a very fast 125 mile an hour scooter as well, the Senmenti Zero, which people are questioning whether it should be that fast or not. There's new paint for the 2023 Honda CRF 300L. Nice bike, the 300L Dual Sport. And there's updates to the KTM 790 for the 2023. But as I say, very slim pickings on the whole over all motorcycle press, not only here from the UK, but also around the world. Or a lot of stories are just being regurgitated and just coming through. So I thought I'd just preface this. Okay, so another story that's been floating around for some time here is regarding this outlet. Okay, BMW are looking at bringing out another motorcycle, another cruiser, and it's called the R12. And now there was a previous incarnation of the R12, and it was kind of a midweight roadster cruiser, and it was discontinued back in the early 2004, where there were much bigger cruiser bikes and bigger engines on the market, and this was kind of not really seen to be fitting in with everything. Now, obviously, then with much success, BMW brought out the R18, and they're looking to see whether the R12, which is a revitalized name, of course, will be something in a similar vein as this, as a cruiser, or whether it be a different design. They're speculating whether the engine will come from the R1250 RT, or indeed from the R90. So it's it's an interesting concept to have. I mean, I would say, because the flavor of the month, let's say, is to move away from big engine motorcycles and come down in the market and come down in size. Maybe a 1200cc would be the way to go. and something like a smaller brother of the R18. There are penciled in. Let's say there's an R17. There's an R12S as well. And there's more incarnations of the R18 apparently scheduled as well. So BMW seem to be on the rise with this. And there aren't any pictures, there aren't any patents filed. It's only for the name, only the name. The R12 and the R12S has been filed, but nothing more than that. So watch your space for BMW, what they've got in store for us on that as well. But I thought that was an interesting one. It's been floating around for quite a few months now, and it looks as if there's more substance to the speculation now of this new BMW for 2023. Let's say if it's in the same style as the R18 or if it's a totally different shape or style, it's unknown at this stage, but the indication is that it's a cruiser very similar to the R18, just a smaller version. And they're also taking their cues from, let's say, like the likes of Indian, Harley Davidson, who have been with the Sportster, the Revolution Max engine, bringing out bikes in that kind of mold, as it were, but with smaller engines, the 1250 and the 975 or the 1130 or whatever it is for Indian, with the Scouts, of course. So it's there. It's on the cards, and I think from BMW's point of view, they've got enough versatility within their range already to be able to use other engines in another frame, let's say, and add a bit of variety, let's say. And I think fair play to them as well. So that's BMW with their R19. Hello, I will get into the comments as well. Hello, Jerry. Hello, I will just block this one. Thank you for that one. There we go. Sorry, no more sex trolling on this channel, I can assure you. So, say Honda coming out with some low displacement engines, Gas just releasing some stuff as well. There are tweaks now to the 2023 lineup, and it's, no major announcements, you say. So we're just waiting for Harley Davidson to bring out their stuff as well. But BMW, it looks as if we could see a new bike from them in that cruiser world. I mean, I think the R18 is a really, really good bike. I test rode it when it first came to UK. Excellent. You go and watch a review of that. I full of praises. I wasn't sure if it was for me in terms of style, in terms of the exhaust and so on and so forth, but it rides really nice. It's I just see that bike as a very much a dry road day riding bike. It is just everything just get caked in mud and everything like that. And I took it out on a kind of wet, muddy day, and it just, after about half an hour ride, it was just completely covered. But as I say, nice bike, nice features on it, and away you go. And I think some people either love it or they don't. It's a bit Marmite, isn't it? But it certainly has been picked up by a lot of people, and a lot of people like it. So yeah, it'd be interesting times if they did bring out this R12 for 2023. What it will look like, what style, don't know. Okay, so that is the BMW R12. Okay, the next story here is an interesting one. If you're into movies and everything like that, and this is all about the first Easy Rider film, and yes, we know Dennis Hopper, Peter Fonda, of course, and a young Jack Nicholson, which many people forget was in that film as well. But here we go. So the story is this, that let me just bring up the story here. This comes from Variety magazine. It's also being picked up, I just noticed, by a couple of the motorcycle press as well. And would it's any movies about motorcycles? There we go. It's always in the news, isn't it? But they're basically in this pre-production phase of trying to revamp or rework this motorcycle movie, or this iconic motorcycle movie as well. But they're going to try and update it to reflect counterculture of the modern era. How they're going to do this, I do not know. And I think, they're saying they don't want to just remake it, rehash it. So I think they've got lots of funding in place. I think they've got lots of the productions structure in place. I think they're just looking for writers now, just to um, uh, they're looking for writers and other people to come on board and start, getting a good script together and start from there. But very early days with that. But I thought it was an interesting story. It would be interesting to see how they manage to create a brand new motorcycle film for the modern era that is of the day. Because I'm just not sure whether there is that same feeling anymore in terms of having motorcycles as a focal point. I'd be very surprised. I'd be very surprised if there is anything like that. Unless they just went down the whole motorcycle club route again, which they shouldn't really, because it was never about that at all. It was never, in fact, it was very anti anything like that, really. So it'd be interesting. It'd be very interesting to see how they do it, and also if it's an American-based Easy Rider, or if it's a European-based Easy Rider, whatever, South American, what the flavor and what it will look like. Be very interesting. Okay. So that's essentially the motorcycle news for today. Not a lot going on. As I say, a lot of the stories are just being rehashed. A lot of the press have kind of reaffirmed the Harley Davidson with their Pan American 975 coming out as well for early 2023. If you watch my live stream from yesterday, I talked about the big announcement, what is likely, strong indicators of which way Harley Davidson are going to go for their big launch in January and what it's going to be. I'm sure that many of the other motorcycle manufacturers will be drip feeding some updates and some new motorcycles in the coming months for next year as well. But so we are on the downhill stretch, as it were, towards Christmas. So it always slows down this time of year. However, I still think there's a lot to talk about in that regard. But listen, enough motorcycles. I want to talk about something that kind of grabbed my attention a few days ago, and I just thought, what is going on? So this is the topic of the day. Now, so a name, I went to see some of my family the other day, and I was having a quick chat with my brother, and he said, "Oh, have you heard of this Andrew Tate?" And I was, who? No, kind of. I don't really know who this person is. No idea, right? And basically, he's cut long story short. If you don't know who he is, he's basically an ex kickboxer from many years ago, full-time world champion apparently, but he's got into the adult entertainment industry, made a load of money, that kind of thing. In terms of chat rooms and online content, he's been doing lots of online content for many years. He's very outspoken, put it that way. He's got very firm views, very outspoken. He's brushed, got quite close to brushes with the law over the years, and now it's just reached fever pitch where he's appearing on every other podcast, he's on every other show, and it's just a whirlwind of this bloke. But I saw a quick snippet of an interview, and he's basically saying, well, I am the most famous person in the world, and I'm just like, well, so famous, mate. I'd never even heard of you. You're not more famous than Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi, or I don't know, the president of the United States, whatever, big person. So I'd never heard of you. But that aside, and then that could just be my my interest or my lack of interest in social media and also pop culture type thing. But the interesting thing was here that then I started doing a bit more research, and not necessarily him, but also what he sort of says, but what he stands for, but how other people are reacting to him as well. And a lot of, he's been accused of a lot of things, of misogyny, being anti-women and having very old-fashioned traditional values. And sometimes when I've heard him talk, and you think, okay, yeah, you can identify that, you could agree with that. But with a lot of people who spout a load of nonsense, right? A lot of what they say is true or has some merit, or they say that within any lie there's always an element of truth. With any great lie, I should say, there's always an element of truth. So this is the way I kind of see him. Very self-opinionated, very opinionated, very self-confident, very uh brash in some ways, but somebody who likes to try and discuss on a higher level things. He's it's almost like he isn't a Dr. Jordan Peterson, but he's kind of in that mold, in that he's making statements about things, whereas Jordan Peterson backs it up with scientific science and everything like that, and a very fascinating character he is as well. But this guy doesn't back it up with anything. He just keeps on talking and says the loudest thing, lots of sound bites. And it's so, and then a few months ago, because of what he's been saying, the news is that he got banned from all social media, which has kind of elevated him to even a higher status, because people saying, well, why was he banned? What was he doing? Well, he's banned for basically, talking like an ass for most of it. But that doesn't necessarily mean he should have been banned. It was just the things he was saying and why he was saying it and all that kind of stuff. But look, he's made lots and lots of money, and he keeps on telling you, I've made lots and lots of money. I'm a multi-billionaire and all this sort of stuff. So that's him. Okay, that's him. Now, whether you agree with him or not, go do your own research, whatever. And I would warn you, do not go searching for him or whatever, because what happens is on your social feeds or your Google feeds or your YouTube feeds, you just get bombarded with content about him where you just don't want to do it. And I just ignore it now. I've done my research into the character. That's all I need to know. I don't need to keep on listening to him or being interviewed with him, whether he has some good points or not. The point is, it's just that it's somebody who's just kind of cocky. I just put him very, very cocky, very, my opinion is the right opinion. You don't have an opinion, or your opinion is wrong. But whilst he doesn't say that in most cases, it's that kind of veneer over what he says. So, okay. So this is this character, right? Who the fuck is Andrew Tate? That's what I was asking myself, as I'm sure you might be as well. Who the hell is this character? Who is he? Who is he? I don't know, and I don't care. And what's more, what is he doing on my internet? As if I own the internet, of course. But what is he doing? Why does he keep on? Because unfortunately, this is what happened. I went and searched for something to see, who the hell is he? And that's it. You get bombarded with this stuff evermore. But I wanted to latch onto something that is kind of related to him, but also is demonstrated by other people. There are lots of people who want to have their opinion, and they want to create some kind of groundswell of support. So usually they're standing in the middle of the room and they'll shout the loudest. They'll be more aggressive, let's say, be more assertive, let's say. Now the modern warfare, the modern battlefield, let's say, is on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever this is. People are just hurling stuff from afar, aren't they? Or they're giving their opinions. They're trying to be as polarizing as they can, so in order to they get their following. They get a lot of masses of people who will hate them, but they'll also get a lot of following, and they become these influencer type people who start, appealing to certain people. And basically, what people fail to realize this, no matter what they're saying, no matter what they're doing, right? They don't care about you. They don't care about, whatever happens to you. No, they don't care about the ramifications of what they say or what they do in terms of how it affects you. All they care about is themselves. And this is the bigger picture here. When you're dealing with characters like this, or you come across characters like this, you've always got to think in the back of your head, Actually, this person is only out for themselves. They're out to make money most of the time. So now there are some other characters here. I'm going to show you here. There's on the right here, this is Jake Paul, and this is obviously this Andrew Tate here as well. Now, what's happened is basically they're bare chested because they're men, but they're ready to go and fight again, right? And basically these YouTubers, Jake Paul and his older brother Logan Paul, been in the news for lots and lots of times. Very big YouTubers, very controversial in many ways. I just think they're a couple of idiots myself, the way they act and everything like that. But YouTube boxing has been become quite a thing in recent years. Now, whether you like it or not, I suppose it's whether you're into the people that are actually fighting or not. But it's definitely drawing a crowd. It's drawing a crowd for YouTubers who watch their channels, but it's also drawing a crowd of people who are into boxing and they just want to see what is going on. So here's a case in point. Jake Paul has been seriously boxing now for a couple of years, and he's getting quite a decent level, and he's taken on some big names in other disciplines. Let's put it that way, older names, from MMA world, let's say, or low key people. But what he's doing is they're jumping on the coattails of other people's notoriety, or when people are on the up curve. And they've been doing this for a while now. It's almost like what they do, they just keep on trying to get associated, trying to get a fight, trying to get some kind of drama with another big YouTuber or another big celebrity, or in boxing terms, an ex-boxer or an ex-MMA fighter. And they just keep on, and it's all about money. It's all about money. So the latest two people that these two characters, Logan Paul and Jake Paul, have been trying to, get, as it were, and get some, because drama polarizes views. This Andrew Tate, he polarizes opinion. This is the template. This is the template that they're using. They're all using, and this is my point here. And this is where I talk about other YouTube channels and, let's say, or other websites and everything. And I say, well, just be careful what you're saying, whether it's in motorcycle terms or not. There's always something behind this. Anyway, so, now they're trying to see, well, whether one of Jake Paul will fight Andrew Tate and everything. And it's just about money, guys. This is all about money. This is all about trying to grab your attention and seeing if you got. Now, in terms of marketing and everything like that, they're very good at what they do, isn't it? But it's a game. It's a game, and I see them just like any other business or any other commercial enterprise trying to get your money or trying to grab your attention, because your attention is money, whether you agree with it or not, whether you don't fully grasp that. Your attention, your time is valuable to somebody else. Because even though the money might not be coming from you, somebody else can make money off just your attention. Okay, and this is where we're at. So if they're having a fight and they're trying, they're trying to get with Andrew Tate. There's an up-and-coming MMA fighter, a UFC fighter called Paddy Pimblett, who's from Liverpool, and he's had about 5-6 fights. I think he's won every one. But more than that, not only is he very good in the octagon, but he's also very good at self-promotion and, being the kind of flamboyant character that he is. So basically, they're trying to go after him. So these characters like Andrew Tate, like Logan Paul and Jake Paul, they're all they're after is trying to get notoriety and just to keep that level. And let's not forget, this is how Logan Paul got himself into complete, did something absolutely disgraceful. And in my eyes, how he's ever got away with that, was come back from that, is just appalling, really. Because in my eyes, he's never really properly apologized for it. Where he actually went to film somebody who'd a suicide victim in Japan, I believe it was, a few years ago now. And it's ridiculous that these people think they can get away with it. There's something not quite right up there in their minds, and this is the same with this, his brother as well, who thinks he's a really good boxer, by the way. And he doesn't like it. They don't like it when they're criticized by people in the know. You got people in the know there, like who are the top level boxing promoters in the world, who basically say he's mediocre at best. But you don't need a top boxing promoter. I look at MMA fights, UFC fights, and when they try and stand up and fight, as in just fight, as it were. And if it was just a case, as we saw in the very first time this kind of exhibition-y type thing started to ramp up again, the first fight was Conor McGregor against Floyd Mayweather. And they were basically saying at the time, Conor McGregor might have a chance here. And I said right from the very start, as many other people who had an idea about boxing, they said, if this was a street fight, if this was an MMA fight, okay, I get it. There could be, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about boxing. Boxing is a specialized discipline, specialized fighting style. Okay, so you're taking a non-specialized disciplinarian, let's say in Conor McGregor, and you're putting him in the ring with the world's best, the greatest that there's ever been in many people's eyes. No chance. So this is the same with the likes of Jake Paul. He's not going against proper boxers. He's going against people who have a big name, but are not specialists. So yeah, he's got some talent. He's got some skills, no doubt. But if I can see it, I'm just an amateur boxing fan, let's say, and I don't necessarily know a lot about boxing, but I can see sort of styles, and I can see stances, and I can see fluidity, and when people are leaving themselves open where they're not. And I suppose that's what most people are looking at, right? If I can see it, and then obviously the big people in boxing, but anybody who's done boxing for real, can see that. They see they're not that good. So this is why all they're doing, they're just going after the people who can't really box. They can't really fight in that discipline. Okay. Now, so it's the same if you've got Tyson Fury in the ring with the heavyweight MMA fighter Ngannou. They'd have a good old scrap, no doubt. But if it was just stand-up fighting, no kicks allowed, nothing like that, well, Tyson Fury would win. It's as simple as that. If it's a boxing, he would win. No matter how big the other guy might get a lucky punch. Of course, you can always have that and get taken out. But if we're talking about straight up fighting, so things like this Andrew Tate that comes out of the not out of the woodwork, but into my consciousness, and then it comes into the consciousness of other people out there, and I kind of call them social media predators, in that all they're doing is that they're trying to go from one big name to another big name to keep themselves on it. And it's a ploy, it's a plan, and it's worked, and it's certainly working for now. And that's all they're doing. They're bad mouthing people. They're being just distasteful, really, in many ways. And they're just getting more and more people on board. They're creating drama, and everybody wins in that circle, apart from anybody else who's just watching from afar, thinking, "What the hell is this?" Because you look at if let's say these two characters ever got it on in a boxing ring. Well, first of all, you hope they knock 7 shades of shit out of each other, and just shut themselves up for a few months. But also, you think it's not much of a spectacle. It's not a spectacle, not for me anyway. Because whilst it might be a fair contest at their level, they're pretending to be something that they're not. And you would see the holes in their performance as well. So I look at somebody like Andrew Tate, who is just self-made. Yeah, they can't get over that. Is self-made, very successful. There's nothing like that. But it's just full of ego, full of his own self-importance. His uh, the things that he views on life and everything. Look, there's nothing wrong in having those views. It doesn't necessarily mean that everybody else has to follow those views, of course, and all that kind of thing. I mean, and anybody out there who's going to watch this and also think about this later, or if you've never heard of this guy called Andrew Tate, let us know your thoughts, what you think of him. But now when I consider these people, and I think, well, what are they trying to do? They're trying to get you as an individual to think like they do, or although they might not admit it to your face, they're basically saying, if I get more and more people thinking like I do, then there's more and more opportunity for me to have a following. That means there's more and more chance of me making more and more money, or diversifying and everything like that. Well, basically, all they're doing is operating like a corporation. That's all they're doing, and this is the same for anybody who markets themselves. Okay, and I'm talking big, powerful people, or celebrities, or singers. Let's say all they're doing is, sometimes they're providing you with something, let's say with a talent, with music, with films, or whatever they're doing. But it's all about their self-interest and their self-promotion and making sure that they stay on that level, stay on the top. And what the characters like Andrew Tate have done, they basically haven't really done anything. It's just that they've earned their money from, I wouldn't say, no, they're not illegal practices necessarily, but it's dubious practices. They've got into, well, it's not even dubious really. It's just a certain thing that they've got into. And if everybody's willing participants, well, fair play. There's nothing wrong there. But if they're not willing participants, or he's very very opinionated in what he says and everything like that, then basically you're given a false representation of what it's like out there, and how you should treat other people, and how you should treat not only women. I'm not just talking about his views on how you should treat women, but also how you should treat your common man, your common friend or foe, as it were. But anyway, I thought it was one of those things where I'm looking at YouTube, let's say, and I'm looking at websites, and I'm for motorcycle content, because this is a motorcycle show, right? But all I'm getting is being bombarded by this Andrew Tate character. And then I started noticing a real pattern where you're looking at other big YouTubers, content creators, and they're jumping on the coattails of up and coming people, or people who are really established, and these collaborations, right? And basically these big collaborations are just sucking the energy out of big platforms, let's say like YouTube or Twitter or whatever like this, because they're basically grabbing all the attention. So people are just naturally levitating to those. But it's all nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And then you think, well, can you see any sort of similarities in the way they're doing it to, what happens in other walks of life? And you say, well, yeah, actually, there's lots of similarities here. There's lots of similarities to the way corporations work. There's marketing campaigns work. There's lots of similarities here. There are lots of things that they do. And you think, well, yeah, there's a plan here. There's a ploy. Everything is by design. Everything is by design. Everything is, to grab your attention, to keep your attention, to make sure that you, as an individual, you are hooked, and you keep being hooked. And at the end of the day, you may not necessarily be losing any money, but somebody's earning on the back of your time and your attention. As I say, that is monetized. Your time and your attention is monetized at that level. And this is where, I kind of say a big no to social media, not only because, as I say, it's a playground, battleground, as it were. It's a battleground for fools in many ways. It's just the way people are talking to each other, and it's just you see the younger people just getting hooked into this, talking like this all the time, whereas older people, for the most part, older people are more sensible. Let's say they didn't grow up with social media, they didn't grow up with this, but so many people have got thrown into this, Twitter wars or whatever it is, and I think, well, just don't engage with it, just don't have it, just don't engage with it, just don't do it. But if you're coming across people like this, like say, like the Andrew Tates of this world, the Jake Pauls, the Logan Pauls, younger people coming up who are trying to influence you or the way you think or your children or anything like that, just, take a step back and just think about why they're saying this. Why are they doing this? Are they getting paid? Are they earning money from it or whatever? And this is the crux of it, really, because they're not doing it for no other reason. They're not doing it other than just keep everything. Their bank balance is swollen up. That's it. But anyway, listen, that was a big take on this Andrew Tate character and how it relates to other people in the YouTube world and everything like that, and how why there's so much content being made about him and his antics and the things that he says, and it's just all I would say is just switch off. Don't even bother. Don't even bother researching it, which I wish I hadn't done myself. It's I think when you're producing content, you do lots of research, as I do, for these shows, but also for other things, let's say for videos or for content on the website as well. You come across these kinds of things and you see patterns emerge, and you see how businesses operate, how individuals operate, how messages are delivered, received, how messages are misconstrued, but also how it's all about context and everything like that. So there's always an element of truth, but there's always an element of bullshit, basically. But that's it. Anyway, listen, I'm going to keep this short today, but it's been another bike mag show here. Not many new motorcycles to talk about, but just a few interesting ideas, I think. A few interesting ideas, especially from BMW, I think. Honda, yeah, the new wave of electric bikes, maybe coming from them in the next year, 2 years, something like that. And yeah, some new offerings from some of the smaller manufacturers as well. But BMW, I think, with the R12 and the R12S, I think that'd be interesting to see what it eventually looks like as well. But anyway, listen, I'll catch you on another video whenever that is, and hopefully you enjoyed that, and well, catch you again. But do not go and research Andrew Tate. Believe me, it's time and hours that you'll never get back. Catch you again. Ta-da.